Okay, for the last couple of minutes I just quickly fitted this test piece into my other test leg with the tenon here. Previously I drilled this 5/16 through hole, and the thing that I might end up doing is moving this back just a little bit, but we'll see how it works out. So what I want to do now is I've got another 5/16 brad point bit, and I'm going to use that to mark this location. So if I were to pull this, if I were to put the pin through now, that mark right there, it's hard to see, but there it is, would be flush. That would make it flush, which is what I want. But what I want that pin to do is pull this tight. So I need to move that mark toward the shoulder just a little bit. So I'm going to take my brad point here, I'm going to get my cheaters on, and I'm going to back it up just about a 30-second or so, straight back, and that's where I'm going to drill my hole, right there. I'm going to make this one a bit deeper so there's no confusion. There we go. So let me go drill this hole, and then we'll be right back and see how things go together. I'll also cut a dowel and taper the end of it, and I'll show you that too. Hang on one second. Okay, this is literally the first time I've ever made this joint. I've seen it done, on different YouTube channels, and I don't know where else I've seen it. But anyway, the joint is pulled in, and you can't see this, but right inside here is the offset that I had for that when I drilled the hole back this way. So I've taken a dowel and tapered the end of it just with a chisel. I'm going to put this over the hole on my bench here and get it started and see what happens. So what's going to happen, I guess, is that this is going through the hole, and the reason for the taper is that'll catch the next hole. It's going to want to tilt the pin, but then the taper again will catch the next hole and kind of give it a bit of a curve in that inside this leg, pulling everything tight. So let's see what happens here. Wow, nice. Now you can see back here, you can see that it's being forced over, but that means it's working. So I don't have a problem with that. That'll get filled in with glue probably, and when I sand it, that'll also fill in a little bit. So that's a nice joint. That baby is rock solid. So one thing I do have to be aware of, knock this out of here. If I can. Is that I've got to, not so much on the top here, but on the bottom leg, I've got to make sure that when I put these together that I maintain this distance, the reveal from the bottom of about 5 inches, which is what I'm shooting for. I can't get them cocked up, one way or the other. So I've got to get them located absolutely perfect before I drill the holes. So let me see if I can grab something to pull this out again. Yeah, you can see that it shined up that dowel pretty good, pushing it through there. But that's a nice joint. And I guess if you wanted to have a joint that you could pull apart, you could use it for that too. But I want this to be a permanent joint for me. So I'm going to pay attention to this now again the second time. I've got this flush. I want to see if that moves on me. Yeah, it's coming down just a little bit. So I've got to be careful of that when I drill my holes. And I think the hole location is not that bad. I may move it back just a little bit because you can see where I am on a tenon. I'm located toward the front. I might want to get it back here in the center, so I'm going to go back 3/4 of an inch. Let's see, 1/4. Yeah, that'll put me more in the center of the tenon. You want to have some meat behind that. You don't want to blow that out either. Let's just leave it where it is. I like that better because I don't want this popping out on me and being loose. So I'm going to leave that alone. Okay, well I've got that little mystery solved, I guess. So that's how I'm going to join my tenons and my mortises together with that lock pin. I've got to pair up my legs here. I've got one pair going here already, and cut my half laps here, create my X's, and then locate all my holes here and here. Also then offset my holes in each of the tenons to pull things tight together, because I won't be able to clamp this. That's the reason for this. I won't be able to clamp these together. This dowel is going to be my clamp to pull it tight. So a little bit of work ahead of me yet. So I'm going to get to work on these half laps, and then we'll come back. I'll show you how I drill these holes next time. But cutting the half laps, I'm not going to show that. So we'll be back in a little bit. Got my drill press set up with my stops here, and what I did was I took my, not this square but my other tri-square, and just paralleled the line from the top here 1 inch down, because my stretchers are 2 inches wide, and then from the bottom here 6 inches, and then came in parallel to the bottom and the top to my drill dimension, or drill offset here, which I did move back just a smidgen. I moved it back probably about an 1/8. So I've got that set, so I can drill my holes in both pair of legs like this, just by sliding from one stop to the other. Bring in my other leg, drill, and then drill. So I'll know that my holes are all going to look the same. It's just a question of where they get located on the tenon. Those are going to have to be free drilled. I cannot drill those with any kind of a setup, because they're all going to be probably just a little bit different. So let me get the 4 legs done here. The 4 holes in 2 legs, sorry. a nice new brad point. I get nice clean holes. No tear out on the back side, which is nice. So there we have it. This one's got to get pushed out. So now I know at least I've got the same distance from the bottom of the floor to the dowel locations. And the next step will be to use that other brad point bit, locate my hole in the tenon, back it off just a little bit toward the shoulder, and that'll create my glue clamp, I guess I'll call it. So let me get those located here. After going back over and slipping the tenons into these mortises, I was just getting ready to mark them, and I decided that it'd be better to drill these other two legs, make the half laps, put the crosses together, and then assemble them so that I have all four legs on a flat surface, and then mark them so that I know that it's going to go together the way I want. So I'm going to drill these other two and then make my half laps. Okay, now we'll make some half laps and get these, see what one of these is going to look like when it gets dry fitted together. Okay, the one thing that we have to be aware of is that these half laps have to be created, one from the top and one from the bottom. So I've got to find center, and they should be, theoretically, they should be the same. They should be the same this way, which they are. So if I can find center off of that point and set a jig up, no, I don't want to measure from that point. I want to measure from this point, because that's the long one. That's what's going to stick out the most. So I got to figure out how to, first of all, I'll find center. That's not that difficult. But then I got to figure out how to set this up so that I register off of the same point of each of the pieces here when I cut these dados out. So the one is going to be turned over, and I'll be registering off the top. So I'm going to need something that comes, fairly long stop block. I guess I've got those, but something thin so that it won't hit the tenon here. I don't want to register off of the tenon. I want to register off the shoulder, and then that'll get me close enough. I don't have to. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it's got to be It's got to be close enough so that when I put them together, you know, one isn't sitting way out here. You're centered up. And yeah, then the next thing is they've got to be in the same plane basically. Because when you put your legs together, you don't want this thing to get cocked. You don't want this one shifted over a little bit this way and this one shifted out a little bit this way. It's going to throw your angle off. So let me show you what I mean here. I'll zoom out a little bit. If the top one is shifted toward me and the bottom one is shifted away from me, that's going to throw off my connection angle here. So I've got to be very careful. It's got to be, I take that back, it's got to be as close to perfect as I can get it. So center is, that's what I want. I want to find center on every piece, and I want to cut that, dado to be right on the money. So let me do that. I'll get set up here and get these cut. Here's what I've been doing the past few minutes. I've got two tri-squares here, one set up to measure off the bottom, like that. And I've got I get the top piece centered on the bottom piece that way. And then this one measures off the shoulder, but it's angled. Remember, it's angled this way. So I have to make sure I keep my ruler flat on the face. And that squares up, or that centers up the bottom one on the top one by going back and forth. So I've got those two measurements. Next thing I need to do is make sure I'm square, which I do with my other tool here. And that is square. I check it both ways here. So I'm confident now that these two pieces are centered on each other, so I'm going to draw my lines here. And that is where I want my dado to be. I don't think there's anything else I can do. I'll do the same with the bottom ones. So there you go. I line those up. It looks like I'm as though I have the same reveal here as I do there. Let's see here. It's so deceiving because you've got those slopes going away, and yeah, that's when I do it this way, it looks a lot better to the eye. This looks the same now, but when you do it this way, you've got this shoulder kind of confusing you a little bit. So there we go. That should be center. And now I know which side to cut. And then I'm going to go about a little over halfway with both of them. About that deep. Put them together. So I'm going to double check these. I'm going to get another ruler in here. Just double check my lines. I've got a... Let's see what I got here. Grab my little miniature tri-square. I'll be right back. Okay, so if I set this on the line here, tighten it. I gotta get my specs here. Okay, I'm just covering the line there. And I'm over the line on this side. So I'm a little bit off. So I might have to redo this one. Try this one here. Just cover the line. And that one there is just covering the line. That one is right on the money. Yep. So I like that one. I don't know what happened with this one. I'm a little bit off. So let me go back to this. I'm going to erase these. I'm going to put this one on the bottom this time. I'm going to erase these lines. If I can find my eraser here. There it is. I guess I gotta go this way. See the bottom one. Okay, so one click gives me the ability to kind of slide this around a little bit. Right between my lines there. Square. And let me measure the bottom here. Get this out of my way here. All right. It's got to come this way a little bit. Yeah. I'd say that's it right there. Yeah. Okay. Make sure we're square. I can still see both my lines there. That's square. remark them here. See what we have now. Okay, I can just see the line there. And I can just see the line there. So I don't know what I did wrong the last time, but that's right on the money now. Okay, I'm happy with that. So this is my waist, and this is my waist. All right, we'll cut a couple half laps here, and then we'll do the same to the bottom ones, the bottom stretchers, and we'll see what kind of fit we have.